Welcome back to this leadership series on the 5 practices of high-performance Christian leaders. In this video, we're going to talk about practice 3, strategy. The high-performance Christian leader must practice the art of strategy. Strategic leadership can be defined as the process used to effect the achievement of a desirable and clearly understood vision by influencing organizational culture, allocating resources, directing through policy and directive, or building coalitions and consensus. To be successful in any endeavor as a leader, you must be a strategist. Here are 5 tools you can use to become more strategic in the way you lead others. First, develop specific plans. If you're in a position of organizational leadership, a strategic plan is an invaluable tool that you'll want to invest time in developing. Many leaders get caught up in abstractions. They have big dreams and ideas, but it's hard for the people you're leading to know how you might actually get there. The strategic planning process forces you as a leader to provide a roadmap. It can be tremendously beneficial, helping those you are leading know where you are trying to go and how you are going to get there. Your strategic plan should articulate a clearly defined vision of the future, as well as identify the major activities you're going to undertake to move from today's reality to that envisioned future. You can have a long-range plan. That may be 10 or more years. A mid-range plan for the next 2 to 5 years, and what I call a campaign plan that covers the next 1 to 2 years. You can even break those plans down to what you're going to do in the next 90 days to take significant steps toward accomplishing those long-range goals. As the timeline that you're considering gets shorter, the objectives you make should be more specific and more measurable. This helps you ensure that you're moving down the road, making progress toward accomplishing that vision. Next, make sure that you allocate resources carefully. We are all dealing with limited time and limited resources. So you need to make sure that the resources you have at your disposal get allocated in a strategic way that will best accomplish the mission that you've been given to pursue. Resource allocation is very different than accounting. As a leader, you need to decide on the best place to invest your resources. You have to make hard decisions about where resources should not be invested. In the parable of the talents, for example, Jesus told of 2 servants who were entrusted with differing amounts of resources. Now, both of those servants doubled their money, a 100% yield, and both were rewarded in proportion to that yield. But there was a 3rd servant that did nothing to yield a return for his master. And most would interpret his actions to be like those of an unbeliever. So whether you are responsible for overseeing money or people or both, those are resources that God and others have entrusted to you. It's your responsibility to ensure that they are invested in efforts that will yield the most fruit for God's kingdom. Third, shape a healthy culture. The next tool available to you as a leader is your ability to shape a healthy organizational or team culture. The culture is how things are done. What behaviors are expected? What behaviors will not be tolerated? As you shape your culture, you should consider first, what type of culture will help the team best accomplish what God has called you to do together? And second, what type of culture is best for your team members? Your organizational culture should evidence that your team members are created in the image of God and that you want them to become more like Jesus Christ. To help communicate our culture here at First Baptist Dallas, we've developed operating principles, how we do things, and green team characteristics that describe who we are. I talk about them often and have them posted all over the walls, the elevator doors, in the break room, so I can keep these values in front of our team members here at all times. For example, I emphasize the value of ownership. We view our employees as owners of their areas of responsibility. This helps us accomplish our mission because they're not all waiting for me to tell them every step that they're supposed to take or every task that they're supposed to accomplish. Instead, they must take responsibility for the success or the failure of their ministries. It also shows that I recognize their value to the team and to the Lord. They're much more than individual pieces of a machine that can simply be discarded and replaced. They're children of God, called and commissioned to serve Him in a unique way. For more on how you can lead in a transformational way, I'd encourage you to watch our video series, Transformational Leadership. Next, a leader should use policies to further influence and culture and help the team know how to handle various situations. Now, many managers take policies and procedures to an extreme. The idea is not to bog your team down in a bureaucracy. In fact, it's the very opposite. By adopting broad policies to guide your team, you can free them up to act without having to work through any type of bureaucratic process. For example, organizations who heavily emphasize customer service often adopt policies that allow their employees to make decisions and spend up to a certain amount of money in order to take care of their customers. In churches, you should have a child protection reporting policy that outlines what you're going to do if you suspect a child is a victim of abuse or neglect. And that enables the staff member to take immediate action without asking a supervisor or someone else what they should do. Organizational policies also greatly benefit leaders because it keeps you from having to make every single decision on a case-by-case basis. For example, you don't want to spend your time deciding how many days off each of your individual team members should get. No, you adopt a policy so they know how many they get. If you have to deal with everything on a case-by-case basis, you're going to waste all of your time and energy making small decisions. Fifth, form strong partnerships. Finally, the leadership should leverage and optimize strategic partnerships. While strategic planning will help you march forward toward the envisioned future, strategic partnerships can open doors and make ways to accomplish more than you ever thought possible. Strategic partnerships are relationships that are founded on shared faith and relationships that result in synergy for the sake of the gospel. Synergy means that together we're able to accomplish far more than we could individually, and even more than the sum of our two parts. In a strategic partnership, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 + 1 equals 10 or 100 or 1,000. If I said, I want to reach the world with the gospel of Jesus Christ, there's only so much that I can do. But in partnership with other churches and ministries, we can do so much more than we ever thought possible. It's not God's plan for us to do His work alone. It's His plan for us to partner together as the body of Christ to make Him known to the world. This has been our third practice of high-performance Christian leaders. Now, next time, we'll talk about the fourth practice, teamwork.